Welcome to Den of Dread, where the shadows hold secrets and the darkness whispers tales of terror. Join us as we delve into bone-chilling stories of the supernatural and unravel the mysteries of true crime. From haunted houses to unsolved mysteries, our channel is your gateway to the macabre. So gather round, dear listeners, and brace yourselves for a journey into the heart of fear itself. I was a new nurse at our hospital and only been working there a couple of months. I had brought a patient of mine up to day surgery from the ER for an endoscopy, and they called back down and asked me to bring her family up because she only spoke Italian and not enough English, and they needed someone to consent for the procedure. After dropping them off, I walked past the waiting room to head back down the hall to the elevators. I took the back way to get to the ER, and the hallways are all deserted. It used to be the pediatric wing of the hospital, but that is all shut down for years, and the rooms are just empty and full of broken equipment and beds and crap. As I reached the old nurses' station at the T-junction between the pediatric hallway, in the hallway that goes to the elevators, I saw a little girl standing across from the nurses' station further down the hall. She had big pigtails, was wearing a brown dress, white shoes, holding a teddy bear. I thought perhaps she was a family member who had walked away from the day surgery waiting room. I was concerned that she would go into one of the rooms and get hurt or lost, so I said, "Hey little girl, what are you doing? You don't need to be over there, you're going to get hurt." And I walked around the nursing station to go grab her hand and bring her back. I shit you not, she vanished, as I got about 15 feet away from her. Every hair on my body stood up straight, and I turned and ran like a bat out of hell down to the elevator. I pounded that button for what seemed like an eternity until the elevator got to the floor. As I got back to the ER, I walked up to the nurse's desk, white as a sheet, and one of the older nurses looked at me and said, "Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you?" I remember babbling like an idiot as I tried to tell them what happened. After listening to me for a moment or two, the nurse said, "Oh, you saw the little girl ghost. She's been around here for years." And I remember saying, "Well, thanks for telling me about it before this." Apparently the ghost has even been seen down in the ER, ducking in and out of patient rooms and peeking around curtains. My wife worked up on the 7th floor, and she said that one time on nights a whole row of patient rooms started yelling about a little girl that was running around in the rooms. I guess she gets around. I work in intensive care, a small community hospital. We have a 9-bed unit that is completely closed off from the medical floor via 2 doorways. 2 nights ago, we were all sitting at the station charting when we all heard footsteps coming down the hall. It's a completely open unit where you can see every room from everywhere. No one was in the unit with us. CT is below us and they close at 5 unless an emergency comes in, and we only have people on the 2nd floor. The 3rd is used as storage, so no one was above us. It happened 2 or 3 times. Then last night, cupboard doors kept opening and shutting in the 2 empty rooms. I finally asked my co-worker WTF was going on, and she just told me that it usually happens after someone passes, especially if it was sudden. We had 2 codes last week that we lost, and I guess everyone has had weird stuff happening for a couple days. Not mine, but a fellow nurse of mine. We were talking about patients' hallucinations when he told me about this time he was walking past a patient's room, an elderly woman with dementia, and she was chatting up a storm with someone. He asked her who she was talking to, and the woman replied, "That nice man in the black and white striped shirt." A while later, he went into another patient's with dementia room, and that different patient asked where the man with the striped shirt had gone. The best I have heard is from a nurse who said that one night she was floated to oncology at the hospital she used to work at. She was given a patient who was passing away and had been unconscious for several days. At one point during the night, the nurse went into the room and the patient was at the top of the bed and looked at her and said, "Don't let them take me." The nurse was freaked out and asked her who was going to take her, and she said that black thing up there and pointed up in the air. This patient died within minutes. One night I was caring for a dying male patient. He was scared, and I spent quite some time with him, trying to calm and reassure him. Eventually he calmed, and I left the bedside and went over to the nurses' station, which was about 15 feet away. As I sat down, I glanced over to him, and there was a black shape standing over the bed, looking down at the patient. I was terrified, and am sure it was something evil. I used to work in a state institute for developmentally disabled. We were temp relocated to another building for remodeling of our budget. Anyways, I was working one night, 12 shift. We had a locket picker unit. I saw one of the residents walking down the hall. Very distinct gait and very distinct yellow t-shirt, value, a happy face on it. I went into the ward to let staff know that they had an escapee. This was a serious situation because this particular resident, Larry, would ingest absolutely anything, from clothing to pens to belts to, a bird's head. Literally anything. He was also very reluctant to go back to his home ward, hence why I didn't bring him back myself. He needed 2 escorts. When we got back into the hall, less than 15 secs later, Larry was gone. We searched the entire building, outside, downstairs, all wards. He was nowhere to be found. This whole search lasted less than 10 minutes because I had all extra staff looking for him. I was just about to call the house supervisor to let her know that we lost someone when out from the bathroom walks Larry with one of the staff. He had been getting his bath in the bathroom for the last 30 minutes or so. Kind of freaky. I absolutely, without a doubt, saw Larry in the hallway. I never would have short-staffed the wards like I did if I hadn't seen him. Like I said, very distinctive gait, look, clothing. I took a lot of razzing that night. They all thought that I was crazy. Anyways, come to find out the next day, after the story goes around that I am crazy, Larry had an identical twin brother who died in that building 10 years previously. We had a black girl, about 10, in ICU that was severely injured in a car accident. Lots of brain damage. She didn't die there but was moved to another facility after weeks and weeks. After that, I know of 3 older black males in their 50s that, if they were even mildly sedated, would ask about the little black girl with the ribbon in her hair who was sitting at the foot of their beds. One guy said, "She asked me how I was doing and then got up and walked that way while he was pointing towards the 2nd floor window." He paused. A wide-eyed look came over his face, and then he said, "But I guess she really couldn't have left the room that way, huh?" Personally, I think she was taking care of grandfatherly figures. I work in a LTC facility, and within lies the legend of the little girl. Many people have seen her. Few have survived to tell about it. Quite a few residents have asked me, "Who's that little girl?" and pointed to her. Coincidentally, these people would be dead within 72 hours of seeing her. Turns out about 10 years ago there was a fatal car accident in front of our LTC. The victim? A little girl, about 10 years old.